Good evening. All right, gonna get my girl on. Hey Gina, how you going, babe? What's going on, girlfriend? Your Sunday night? How you doing? Wine and movies, nice. What are you watching? Make sure you say hello when you jump on. I can see eyes, but I don't always get told who jumps on, so make sure you say yo yo. What's up? Hi Kiarna, bringing you on now. I reckon there's a lag in the comments, hey. Black Panther, it's good. Nice. What wine are you drinking? Hi. How you going? Hi, Tanya.
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, babe. How's your day been?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. How about yourself? Just trying to get this camera right. I haven't gone.
I think it's like you have to have it horizontal for some reason. Hi, Kim. Make sure you say hello in the comments when you jump on. Let us know you're here. We see eyes, but we don't even always get notifications of who is actually on. So it's always nice to know who's there.
It keeps falling over.
Yes, so my Sunday, what did I do? I got up and I attempted to go for a run and I did about 2K and my body was just like, no. So I walked instead, which was lovely. And then just did some work and had a family barbecue this afternoon and ate way too much food. As you do. How was yours?
Just trying to see how I can share this. Yeah, pretty much the same. But I went to Bunnings trying to fix stuff and yeah, doing all that family stuff. Because I only have one day free at the moment. So
Nice.
yeah, just connecting back in with the family and making sure they all had everything they needed for the week ahead. Just organising, I guess.
One day free from kids or? Hang on, I'm just sharing
just
this.
working a lot at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Hi, Fiona.
Nice. All right, I'm just going to share this in the group. Hi, Neville. Hi, Natasha.
I think I just shared it as well. I'm not sure.
Awesome. I'm actually trying on my personal page tonight just to see how it goes in here. All right, and then I'm sharing it in the group. Alrighty. So we've got a few people on. So make sure you say hello when you jump on, guys, so we know who's watching. We get notifications of some, but not all always. So make sure you say good day. Give us a thumbs up and give us some love hearts because we love the love. All right, so tonight we are going down and deep and dirty with the gorgeous Kiarna. Am I saying it right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, cool. And we're talking about healing after breakups. Juicy topic, this one, and one that's I think really, really important. I know from my own personal experience, I didn't really heal any of my breakups until my very last one, where I was just like forced to, basically. So this is a good one.
Just gonna grab headphones.
All right. Sorry, hun.
Just grabbing headphones.
Okay, cool. You're a little bit cutty, a bit jolty. Hi, Sky. How are you going, hun?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Have you got dodgy internet where you are?
I may do. I'm not sure. You know what it's like being a mum. You've got all the kids on the
thing. I'll just have my mobile data on as well.
On internet.
Is that better?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's better. Awesome. All right, well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
That's all right. It's great to be here.
So
Excited to answer these questions for you.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, cool. I'm really loving these Sunday Soul sessions. They're just getting so much juicy info and content out there for people. I think they're so important. It's really nice. And so many amazing women, like just connecting with so many incredible women who are just doing epic shit. It's so good. So good.
Is that internet connection okay now?
It's better, like visually, I can see you not cutting in and out. I think there's a little bit of lag in our conversation though, so I'll just be aware of that.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's get started. So, do you have a morning routine? And if so, what is it? Oh, I think we've lost her. Hi, Megan. How you going? Nice to have you on here, gorgeous. Hey.
The Wi-Fi off. And is that better, internet-wise? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, now.
Okay. So is that better now? So it's just
yes.
Dodgy
Okay,
internet.
let's go.
Okay. Okay, so morning routine. I make it a habit to have it that when I first wake up in the morning, I like to stretch and just like make those big cat type moves and make sure that you're getting into your body. And then what I do is I start off with my big toe and I tell my big toe, I love you, thank you for being my big toe. And then I work my way up and it ends in my heart. So I do the whole body from the big toe right up to the top of my head, and then I just rest in my heart and then I go to my womb space. And that's my morning routine. I just try and keep it really simple and have it that I'm able to connect into myself and just remind myself that I'm loved. So that's the way that I start my mornings, and then set an intention for the day of what it is that I'm wanting to achieve and how it is that I want to feel. So I set the tone for my emotion for that day, and then I just work on everything from there.
Oh, beautiful. I love that whole giving thanks and pouring love on your body. That's such a great idea. Great idea.
It's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think that a lot of the time we just forget how nice it feels to just have that sensation of touch. So just being able to bring that to yourself, it's just, I reckon it's pretty special. So.
Oh, okay. So you're touching yourself at the same time, like touching your toes.
Yeah, well,
and
you
up
just
your
go
legs
along. So it's like, starting just all over your body. So it's like just really connecting into every part. So starting at your big toes and then moving your way up, like with pressure and applying that just so that you're back into your body. Because a lot of the time I think that we can end up right in our heads or, out there somewhere. And so just being embodied back into ourselves just means that we're in a lot better position to make some really solid choices for ourselves throughout the day.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so going to try that tomorrow. Thank you.
Hey, do it.
Really cool. I'll let you know how it goes. Hey, Christy. Hey, Tiffany. Welcome. Will do.
Hi.
All right. So tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What's your story?
Okay, so it depends on how far back you want me to go, but if you're keeping it relevant to the topic at hand, I'd say that so basically I had been in a really bad relationship. So I was in a domestic violence relationship for about 5 years. I had 4 children at that point in time. It got to a point where I just realized that things weren't actually going to get any better, and I had played the victim for as long as I possibly could within that situation. I had basically thought that I was powerless to be able to make a different choice for myself. And then after an idea had been put into my head of, oh, why don't you move interstate? I then actually move interstate about 2 months later. So on Christmas Day 2014, myself and my 4 children jumped on a plane to the Gold Coast with literally 5 bags and a suitcase, and we started our whole lives all over again. And so then basically it's just been the amount of stuff that we've been able to accumulate. We were never without, and we ran everything from scratch and been able to set ourselves up from there. So that's basically the main part in regards to how it came into relationships and how that's become my focal point. So within that, I was able to reflect on what I could own within that situation. And so not to blame myself or say, I was a bad person or I was on the same vibration as somebody who was being violent. it was more so going, okay, well, what can I do to make sure that I never put myself in that situation again? And so I looked at how it is that it was like the positives to the situation, so what it is that I was gaining from it, and that's the reason why I was staying in it. So for me personally, what I was getting from it is I was getting the attention because I was getting the acknowledgement from my friends and family. They always wanted to know what was going on. They were always like giving me a lot of attention for it. And so then it was like retraining myself to go, okay, well, that's not the type of attention that I'm actually wanting in my life. So I've had to learn new ways of being in the world. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Wow. Like, and just making that, I've never been in that situation, and I'm so grateful for not having been in that situation, but to find that strength within yourself to pull yourself out of that with 4 kids. Wow. Amazing. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Are you with someone now, or have you met someone since? Like, how long ago did this happen?
No.
2014.
So that was 2014. And ironically, since I've been able to let go of my victim story around it, where I've actually been able to maintain a really good connection with each other now. So there's no animosity, there's no hatred, there's no pain, there's no anything. That's like completely and totally released everything from that situation.
Wow.
Which has been really empowering. And then I moved to the Sunshine Coast. And when I first moved to the Sunshine Coast, I got into a relationship with someone single for 4 years. So in my head, I had come to the conclusion that I know myself enough. I know exactly what it is that I want. I know exactly where I'm going, and I'll be able to set up the basis for a really solid relationship. So from the moment that I first met him, I was like, yep, that's it. I'm all in. This is how I'm going with my life from now on. And then it ended up turning out to be that I had some really intense lessons from that one as well. So thankfully there wasn't violence or anything else like that involved this time, but it was more so just being able to acknowledge just because, and I think a lot of the time as women or as men as well, we think that if we're solid and we know what we want, that the person that we're with is going to be able to match us and do that as well. But if you're with somebody who's not actually certain about what it is that they want, you're never actually going to get what it is. So I think that from the last relationship, I really learned about people that are confused and when they don't actually want to be in a relationship, or they don't know what it is that they want from a relationship. And so it's like trying to match myself to that was very challenging, and it was very intense and quite painful in a different type of way, but very, very deep growth has occurred from that now.
Yeah, wow. And like my own personal experience has definitely been that, you know, I can come out of a relationship and I can heal and I can get to that place where I'm like, yep, I know what I want, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then when you actually get back into a relationship, all this other stuff just comes up and gets pushed, and you get triggered and triggered and triggered. And it's not until I've really noticed it, it's not until I've actually been in a relationship that I've really been able to heal and really work through those big triggers, those ones that I've been carrying through my entire life, you know. And with, you know, Gary, all the stuff that has been coming up has still come up, but I've managed to work through it because I've done enough work on myself healing out of a relationship to then get into one with Gary and have those triggers come up and go, okay, well, I'm facing this stuff this time. I'm not going to run away from it.
Yeah. And I think that's where I was at as well in regards to when I first got into the relationship with the last person. I was literally single for 4 years because I made the decision, and I think that it's a really good decision for everyone to make at any point in time in their lives before they get into a relationship, that I'm not going to punish the new person for what's happened in my past. I'm not going to treat them like they're going to cheat on me or that they're going to do this or going to do that. And I had to be in a place where I made sure that I wasn't bringing any of my dramas and stories into the relationship. Unfortunately, he wasn't matching me on that, and so it was the whole thing of him having his own stories, and you know, that whole thing around the acceptance of actually being loved and seen and accepted for who he actually was. So that was just an interesting experience for me, but it's given me that certainty now of being able to recognize what it is that I'm wanting moving forward, and seeing that you can't love somebody enough to be able to make them accept your love. And you can't take that on board as being your truth. And it's like I see a lot of the time where people, more recently with a lot of people that I've been working with, where their partners have cheated, or there's been like the person hasn't been able to match what it is that they're thinking, and they're saying, well, if only they just, then we could have. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't. So it's like, what are you actually holding on to right now? You're only hurting yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. I was just thinking about something I wanted to say and I've just forgotten. No, it's gone. But yeah, it's that's right. And, you know, because I think also too, like it's pushed on us that, you know, when you know what you want and you're all good inside, you will attract that same person into your life. And it doesn't always happen that way. Like you attract what you need, I believe.
100%.
And then that's also like, it's almost like a little test for you to go, okay, well, you say that you know what you want, but do you really know what you want? And are you actually going to stand your ground and in your power with what you want? Or are you going to allow someone to kind of come in and sway that?
Yeah, and I think that's another big part of it as well. It's like if you're on this path and you know exactly who you are and where you're at and where you're going, and then somebody else comes into your life and then they're like, oh, that's great that you're doing all of those things. I'm attracted to all of those things, but I'm also that those things threaten me or make me feel like I'm not as secure within myself. Then they'll slowly chip away at who you are to be able to have it that they're feeling more comfortable and secure. But what I learned from the previous relationship is that there's not enough things that you can do to be able to make somebody feel secure. So I really had to own that. I was like going, okay, I understand that I can't love him back together if that's not what he's choosing for himself right now. And so it was like, as much as I dedicated a year to that and just really tried to love him up because I really believed that that's all that it took. I just realized that the only thing that I needed to love at that point was myself, because I'd forgotten who I was and forgotten what it is that I was bringing to the party and what it is that I wanted to do, who I am in the world. And I think that the moment that you start to forget those things, there's nothing to hold on to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then at the end, you know, at the end of the day, like if that person is not able to receive love, there's nothing that you can do, nothing, you know, and they just constantly have that block up. I had my last relationship before Gary, it was with a guy who was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and he smoked pot constantly and was like a cigarette smoker and addicted to coffee. Like he just was not, he was obviously like seriously fucked up and numbing his shit, like just not willing to face his shit. He'll stop. Yeah. And I stuck with him for 6 months the whole time.
Show him that
what are you doing, Nick? What are you doing, Nick? This is not who you are. I can fix him. I can fix him.
Yeah.
No.
And I think we've all got a little bit of that rescuer inside of us as well. Like we all think that, you know, and I think that's the other thing that's sort of come to me more recently is that, you know, we want to save people from themselves, and then, you know, we want to have it that we're fixing them up and whatever else, because if we fix them, then they'll owe us, and then they have an obligation to love us. And so I sort of recognized that, and I was like, whoa, I'm not even going to play that game. So, you know, the whole rescuer thing that a lot of people take on board, whether that be a man or a woman, you know, the moment that you think that they need you or that they need saving, you've completely missed the point of being able to ever be in a balanced relationship, because you're up here trying to save them, or alternatively, you know, that if you're getting somebody that's saving you, it's never going to work.
No,
never going to be functional.
No, definitely not. So how long ago was your last breakup?
My last breakup was about 3 to 4 months ago. So,
okay, so reasonably fresh.
It's been but it's been a really amazing journey. Like there's been, and it's been good as well, because I created a lot of what I do with clients. My clients. Sorry, I just was reading what you wrote, Sky. I'm just going to turn my phone to silent because it was just beeping on me. But a lot of what I wrote was at the end, it was the beginning of last year that I wrote a lot of the core structure of what I've been doing with clients. And it was quite funny that I then came back to it and I was like, oh, I've actually wrote this content a year ago for myself. So I've now been able to go through it and actually have it that I'm like coached myself through the breakup. And it's, I think that that's been really quite powerful as well, because, you know, you're always going to have those moments where you have days and you like romanticize that idea of what you had of them. And, you know, I think, you know, if I look at the reality of what it was, I'm like, I'm thankful I'm out of there. Like, my logical mind knows that it wasn't a good situation for me and that it wasn't matching what it is that I need in my heart. But those days when you romanticize it, I was like, oh, there was like 20 minutes there where, you know, he just bought me flowers or took me out for dinner, and in those 20 minutes we weren't arguing, and it was so beautiful. And it's like, what about the other 23 hours
23 hours and
of
20
the
minutes
day?
of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Exactly.
like, you know, I think that a lot of us can get so hooked on to those moments where we're like, start to romanticize the past and start to romanticize what it is that we feel as though we've lost. But in reality, it only ever gets better. So it's just been really interesting to observe those human sensations that come up that are within us, that are just going, oh, but, you know, I'm really missing their presence in my life. I'm missing the friendship. I'm missing, you know, being able to have somebody I can go out and do things with. But then realizing that you just need to be that person for yourself. It's like, we don't even need it. No.
Yeah. So what was
So
your biggest
beautiful.
learning from that relationship, or from that breakup, I should say?
Like I said before, it's like I can't love somebody enough to actually make them accept my love. And then the other side
Yeah.
of that is to not be in a relationship with a confused man. So basically what I noticed is that there's two types of people that will get into a relationship, and I'm very much generalizing here. So you have one person that will be the type of, we'll just say man for the sake of this conversation, the type of man who'd be like, do you know what, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know that when I find it, I'll know exactly what it feels like. I know exactly what that feeling's going to feel like. And then what happens is they meet somebody and they have those beautiful, warm, fluffy feelings, and all of a sudden they think that that's it for them. Then all of a sudden one day reality kicks in and they go, oh, I don't actually feel that way anymore. So there must be something wrong with the relationship. So they'll either look outside of the relationship, or they'll start to question the relationship and the integrity of the relationship itself. Then the other type of person you have will be the type of person that will go, do you know what, I'm looking for this type of a person. This is what's going to suit my personality. This is going to suit my future and where it is that I'm heading. I need a woman who's going to be strong. I need this, I need that, I need that. And if you don't fit into that category of like what it is that's going to actually take me long term where I'm going to go, it's probably not going to be a match right from the start. And I have that internal like knowing that's like going, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going. If you can come with me, that's awesome. But if you can't, I'm still good. And the thing is, with that type of a person, the moment that things get hard or they get challenging or difficult, they go, do you know what? I know that this person still has the internal structure and the integrity and the qualities that I'm looking for, that this little rough patch that we're going through, we're going to be fine. So it
Yes.
means that they just have it, that they're able to stay in that situation. So for me now, when I'm looking at a future relationship, it will be with somebody who will be going, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm at, this is what I need from my life, this is what I'm like, where I'm heading. And it would be awesome if you can come with me. And I'll be like, okay, well, this is what's happening for me. We can make that work, or we can't make it work. Either way, I'm still good, they're still good. So I will never, one thing that I'll never do again is be in a relationship with somebody who's just going for the feelings, because feelings can change in a heartbeat.
Exactly. I just saw a comment here from Tiffany. So how do we make sure we find someone on the right level for us? You kind of just answered that. Yeah.
And I think that
Does
when
that
it
make
comes down
sense?
to it as
Sorry.
I think as well, how you going, Tiffany? I love you. I think as well within that as well, there's also the side of things that, you know, we seem to think that if we're on this certain frequency or vibration that we're going to just draw in somebody. But I think that a lot of the time that puts a lot of pressure on us to actually be something, or you know, be something grander than ourselves, because our singledom means that we're not good enough on some level. And
And I
so what
also
I'm
think
sort of...
that we can often have the mental, like the mentality stuff going on, but our energy is still saying something completely different. And, you know, you always
Absolutely.
attract energetically, not here. Like you can have this sorted, but it's not until you really change the energy inside of you that you start really attracting the good stuff, the mindset,
And
everything.
Absolutely. And I think it's also about not just about who you are, but what it is you're willing to accept as well. So I think that, for myself, I've always been a strong, confident woman, and from an external standpoint of people who know me and have met me along the way. But when it gets into a relationship, I would always just sort of cower and sort of get a little bit smaller, and then
I call that my little girl syndrome. Yes.
Yes. So
little girl syndrome. I
I
would
love it.
slip into that all the time, and I would like become this meek little, like, because I'm a strong and powerful chick, and I would get in and meet these guys, and my sense of my lack of confidence, I would just like shrink into this little girl, like this little girl, and I'd be like appeasing and trying to change myself to be more appealing to him or whatever. And I'm just sitting here, I just
accommodating
only had this epiphany. Yeah, you'll like me more if I flick my hair and if I just like giggle at your jokes.
I'm just going to be really girly right now.
Yeah. That's so true.
But yes. But yeah, so when it comes to meeting somebody on your own level, I think that the main thing that I've noticed more recently, like I've got a lot of people in my life that have like invested or shown me a level of interest, and at the moment I'm really being very, very discerning in regards to what it is that's going to work for me longer term. But I think that the thing is, the more that I'm coming into myself and the more I'm doing what I need to be doing for me, the more naturally people are gravitating towards me. So it's been really interesting for me from an observational standpoint more recently that I've noticed the quality of the people that I'm having conversations with has increased dramatically. And it's just because at the moment I'm in the place where I'm so incredibly happy and I've got a lot of good stuff going on in my life. Like I spend 90% of my day laughing now. And so it's I find that every single person that comes near me, there's people that either laugh a lot or, can make me laugh. And that's just really like the energy and frequency of what I'm bringing in, that I'm just like, you know what, I get to choose this time. And I think that's another thing, actually. A lot of the time in relationships, it's basically being the person that's hung around the longest. And they're like, oh, they really like me. And they're like a little puppy dog with their tail between their legs. And so I've just like sort of gone, oh, well, I suppose I should like them because they really like me. And now it's like, no, actually, I'm going to choose this time. Like, I'm going to work out who it is that I actually want to be with and what it is that's going to work for me. So, yeah, it just makes it a little bit different when you're taking control of it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's been a nice reminder, though, just seeing the quality of the people that have been showing interest in me more recently.
Yeah,
and I still haven't made a decision.
No, and you don't have to anytime
and I don't
soon.
Need to.
You can take your time entirely. Because I definitely noticed, because when I broke up with that crazy guy who was numbing and into all his drugs and stuff, I was just like, that was my line in the sand. I was like, this is enough. Like I was punishing myself for a previous relationship where I cheated on a really beautiful guy. So my form of punishment was throw myself into doing a half Ironman. Came out of that severely like, what the fuck do I do now? Fell into this. So I went from one extreme to the other. I went from exercising every single day and did a half Ironman to drinking alcohol every day, smoking pot, doing drugs, like within a week. It was just this massive flick. And it was purely avoiding the pain, avoiding dealing with what I'd been through. So when I finally got that out of that 6-month relationship, I just knew something had to change, and I knew I had to.
Did you say relationship then?
Well, it was.
It sounded like you said relationship.
I didn't, but I'm going to roll with it. I think it works. So when I came out of that, I was like, right, this is it. It's time to get real, Nick. And because I've always had backup plans in place. Like I had guys who were like hanging in the wings where I was like, oh, well, if I don't find someone by this age, I'll call on you. So I cut all of them off. And I actually just, I got off all dating apps, all websites, everything. And went, right, that's it. It's just me. And for the first time in my life, I was entirely alone. No men. And it was fucking terrifying and fucking liberating at the same time. And I spent 6 months, no sex, nothing, no contact, just working on myself. And really
I did a year and a half of that after my marriage. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
and how
so important.
amazing.
Like, I think that one of the things I've noticed for myself personally is that I used to, I can't believe I'm even saying this, I used to base the relationship on how good the bedroom activities were. So it was like, if
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know, the relationship outside of the bedroom's pretty bad, but I'm satisfied, so I'm just going to stay here a little bit longer. So when I noticed that, after leaving my ex-husband, I just went a year and a half. I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to teach my body that I don't need to have a man in my life. So I went a year and a half without any touch, and that was including myself. I needed to make it that I wasn't being controlled by an orgasm.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
just
awesome.
really detoxifying my body from, because I think at one point in time there was I think it must have been when I was a bit younger as well, that we sort of all bought into, like a lot of people around me had all bought into that porn thing. So it was like, you know, instead of sex being about deep intimacy, it was like about performing and making sure that they were getting the show. So it was like, you know, doing the
Fucking.
whole thing and being like, you know, the whole lot of it. And so it's like just throwing all of that out the window and being like, no, I'm getting rid of the sexy for the sensual now. So yeah, but I think
Yes.
it's
Oh,
so,
I
so
love that.
important to be able to just reconnect back into your body by learning how to turn off those parts of yourself and turn them on when it's appropriate and not being controlled by any of it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of guys need to kind of connect with. That whole turning the sexual and sensual on and off so that they're not being controlled by it.
Absolutely. And I've just read Sky talking about avoidance as well. Like avoidance is so prevalent in a lot of relationships, or a lot of, like, I know so many people at the moment that are going through this space of time where they're like, oh, you know, I've met somebody and would be absolutely perfect if only they'd feel that way about me, if only they'd blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, as much as there's so many people that are avoiding stuff and they're trying to avoid the hurt and from connecting back into somebody after having a bad relationship, there's also the other side of things where there's a lot of women that are trying to find relationships and they're finding feelings for somebody that's not available. So it's like, that's a part that we need to own as well within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, there's like, for me, from what that brings up for me is that there's a part of that person who's not willing to let go and fully be involved in the relationship either. So they're like getting someone who's mirroring that back to them and going, well, I'm not, you know, it's like that
100%.
whole, for sure.
Yeah.
But just going back, you said something earlier about how when you hit the rough patches when you're with someone and you love their values and their core stuff, and you hit those rough patches and you ride through it. And that's been a huge thing for me, because I was always very much, I'd get into relationships, and as soon as I hit a dodgy patch, like I had an idea in my head of how it would be, and as soon as it kind of got a bit rocky, I was like, nah, I'm done, I don't need this, I deserve better, blah, 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 and just be like out the door. Whereas with Gary now, because I'd done that work on myself and I feel I attracted someone in who matched my values, like we're in a shit fight at the moment, we're kind of butting heads a lot at the moment, but there's that whole like, okay, well, we're going to ride this out, you know, there's no, I'm out the door. It's like, I love you and I'm still connected to that person that I fell in love with and that I love, and your values are still the same and the core stuff's still the same. This is just a bumpy patch and it happens. And that's the huge shift, hey, when you can kind of start, and that's where I think you found that one, well, not the one, but a person that you can really grow and be with, because you're not just flighty and they're not just flighty, and I feel so secure and safe in the relationship even when shit hits the fan. And that's a
Yeah, I think
huge,
that's really
difference.
quite beautiful to hear that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's easy. Like, it's easy to just go, fuck it, I'm out. That's the easy part.
And I think as well, though, I think that's one of the things that I was really mindful of, because I tend to be a bit of a runner, we'll say. I had in the past been a bit of a runner from relationships. The moment they got to and says, I'm like, all right, I'm out, mic'd up.
I'm done.
I'm like,
I don't need this shit. I'm out.
yeah. But yeah, so this time round, like the last relationship, I really made a point of being, it's just hard right now. I'm going to get through this. We're going to be fine. But the thing is, and this is a part that I'm getting, like, even for yourself, like if it turned out that Gary was like not playing with you and he wasn't wanting to match that and he was losing sight of the values and the core part that you have together, then it's like there's no point to you to continue to try and do it. It's like both people need to be in it together.
It's got to
It's
be a
not just
mutual
about
thing.
Absolutely. And if you're both not working towards it, like that was probably one of the biggest things with my ex-husband, was that whenever I was working towards it, he was, and whenever he was, I wasn't. So I think that, you know,
Yeah.
it sounds like you found somebody that's actually, like, you can go through those rough patches, but if you're both in it together, it's going to be like incredibly special in comparison to just, you know, I like in my last relationship, I don't want to give him a hard time or anything, but I was the one who was trying to put in the effort. I was the one who was like trying to just invest in it. I'm like, it's okay, it's just a rough patch, but I was never being met where I was at.
Yeah, right. Yeah, see, Gary's pretty good. He'll acknowledge, and he'll tell me, he's like, you know what, I'm not okay, this isn't good right now, I'm not feeling great right now, but there's never that I'm leaving, I'm out. Initially
Yeah.
there was, like, when we first got together, and I noticed his pattern of fuck it, I'm out, was really coming up. And I just said to him, I said, you've got to stop saying that, because you know it's not true. It's bullshit. You're not going to leave. And you've got to stop saying it, because all you're doing is actually like just chipping away at the relationship. So just stop. Like, it's okay. We're going to go through the shit, and he stopped.
Yeah, and that's a good thing that you put nip that in the butt, because there could have been a point in time where he would have said that if you hadn't have, and then you'd be like, well, do you know what? I'm actually leaving. And so it's like just the fact that you've nipped that in the butt. And I think makes me remember, like, when people first get into a relationship, I'm one of those people that will set the standard of what it is that I expect and what it is that I want. I let it fall because my little girl comes into play. But I think a lot of the time from the start of a relationship, we just sort of, like, people don't set the established, like, boundaries and discernment for what it is that they're actually wanting from the relationship. And so then when things get bad, they're like, oh, I don't really know what to do now. It's like, he doesn't treat me the way that I like. I'm like, well, what have you done to set it up that he could treat you the way that you wanted? It's like, at what point in time have you told him that his behavior is not acceptable, or that you don't want to have that type of a relationship? So, yeah, I think that's really powerful that you've gone in that right from the start and been able to say, look, I'm not going to actually tolerate that. That doesn't work for me.
And that's where I think that whole really getting that whole self-love thing, like that whole getting really clear on who you are and what your values are and what you stand for and what you will and will not put up with or accept in your what is this called? You know, I keep trying to say aura or vicinity or space, or there's another word for it, and it keeps
it's energetic field.
Field, but you know what you want to allow in your
field.
an energetic field. Nice. I'm rolling with that one too. Yeah, so that's, I think, really, really key before anyone can get into a relationship. You've got to be in that good space yourself, hey?
Yeah. And that's why I think as well, like, there's a lot of the time where, and I feel it even within myself, since being single, there's days, like I said, where you're romanticizing the past and whatever. It's like, oh, well, maybe if I just do this, then I'll get somebody in my life that'll love me. And it's like, no, you're missing the point. You need to be the one that loves you. Like, you need to fill up that cup and make sure that there's anything that you're giving out is just the overflow, and having it that you're going to like bring somebody in that's going to be able to go, do you know what? I actually friggin' love myself. So if this doesn't work for me, I know I'm going to be okay. And it's, I think a lot of the time there's so much attachment to how it's supposed to look, and how much, like, a lot of attachment in regards to how it is that, I've just lost my words. It's just a lot of attachment to just having somebody that there's not actually like a basis for anything that's solid. It's like just having somebody there is enough, and that's not actually what a lot of people want from a relationship. But it's like filling the cup with that other person rather than knowing that you're enough by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost that fear of being alone. Yeah, like that fear of being alone. It's like, well, if you're afraid of being alone, that's all the more reason why you need to be alone.
Absolutely.
Because you can't.
Absolutely.
And the times that my relationship falls into these shitty phases is when I'm not practicing self-care. I'm not loving myself.
Yeah.
Every single time, when I'm not making me a priority, and it's all about others, and I'll snap at him. And it was interesting because I was getting resentment towards him for, having his downtime. And I was talking to my mentor. I was like, I'm just fucking over it. He fucking doesn't do anything. He just plays fucking computer games. And she's like, yeah, but Nick, why? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, what are you doing? How are you showing up? What are you not doing that's causing the resentment. And I was like, fuck, I'm not looking after myself. I'm not making time for
Yeah.
me. So of course I'm going to get frustrated
Yeah.
if he's making time for himself. You know, it's like
Yes.
such
And I think
simple shit.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's quite easy for one person to suddenly just be like, oh, I'm not, like, I need to just take some time to myself. And I felt like when I was requesting that in my previous relationship, it always was like a threat to the relationship. So it was like I'd go, all right, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. He's not really a morning person. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go for a walk down to the beach now. I just need to refresh myself, just connect into the water. I'll probably do a live video while I'm down there, and then I'll come back. And he'd be like, oh, well, can I come with you? And I was like, well, you can, but I really want to have this time to myself right now. And he's like, oh, what have I done wrong? I'm like, what? Where did that even come from? Like, and I'm just going, I don't actually understand that. Like,
Yeah.
you haven't done anything. And then I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll jump back into bed then. And I'd jump back into bed, and I'd be feeling grumpy and upset about the situation. Then, you know, it's like, oh, well, I can't offend him. It's like, what about myself? I'm offending myself right now. No.
Exactly.
I think that, but there's certain things that, like, you know, things that you're doing that fill yourself up that you can't let go of once you get into a relationship. And, yeah, I think that we're maybe sometimes a little bit too quick to let go of those things that fill us up because we've got somebody else to fill us up now. And it's just, I don't think it works like that.
Never works. No. Your happiness cannot be dependent on someone else ever, because they'll let you down every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yep.
You know, you've got to be looking after yourself.
100%.
So how important, and I already know the answer to this question, but how important do you believe it is to really take time after a breakup to really heal yourself?
So I'm just feeling, so when I was younger, my first ever long-term relationship, this will be relevant, just me and this one. I remember somebody saying to me, the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. And
yes.
So from that, so I, at that young, naive age of and stage of my life, I was like, all right, then that's what I'm going to do. If that's what helps me get over it. And then you find that that's like the worst possible thing that you can do. There really is a process and things that you need to do. And I think as well, like, if you're looking at where we're at collectively at the moment, there's a lot of this focus around positive thinking and, you know, it's okay, I've just got to, like, you know, stay true and just ground into myself and, you know, I'm just going to keep thinking positive. And then inside they're like profanities,
avoiding
profanities,
the pain.
profanities.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that, but there's also like a guilt around feeling or expressing that pain. So I'm very big with being transparent. So when I write stuff up on Facebook, it's funny for me because I'll write things when I've gotten to the other side of things. So I'm like, I never really write things unless I'm like, okay, I've processed this. I get this. This could be useful for somebody else. And so I find a lot of the time when I'm writing stuff, it's like, I'm pissed off today. I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling like that. People were like, oh, don't do that. Like, you know, and have this negative association with feeling your feelings. And so I think that the main thing is when you get into that point of a breakup to just feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Like I give myself like a good week of just allowing myself to mourn, because even if it's a shit relationship, you've still had somebody you've had time with for that whole time. There's somebody that you've been intimate with that whole time. There's somebody that you've probably laughed with and cried with and had some sort of connection which kept you there in the first place. So of course you've got something to mourn. It's like the death of, you know, everything that you thought you were creating at that point in time. And, you know, like I said, the last guy that I was with, I really thought that he was my forever. So it was like letting go of the idea of that actually being true. And like, you know, my ego was cut because I was like, oh shit, I still got it wrong. And just being able to go, you know, this is what I'm feeling right now, and just being completely in it. So it's like whatever it is that I was feeling, I give myself, like I said, a good solid week to just be like, nah, that's it. Tonight I'm going to watch romance movies and eat ice cream, and that's what's happening. And so it's just whatever it is that I feel like I need to do. But just like, and then the next week it's like all about self-love and nurturing and coming back into yourself and being like, well, you know what, I'm still alive, I'm still okay. And like I wrote on the post the other day, it's like, your ex is an oxygen. You can live without them. So it's just like coming into
Yes.
that space where you're like, okay, I'm going to nourish me now. What is my oxygen? What is it that makes me feel good? But I think the main thing is, like, as much as we say people have avoidance within relationships, there's avoidance in breakups as well, where we don't want to feel and express those things because they're not positive and light and fluffy. It's like, it's the actual hard shit that you need to get through to be able to move on, to be able to
Absolutely.
honor something else.
I think something though that's really important with that is having a time frame. So allowing yourself to feel and process the shit, but not allowing it to go on for too long. And like you say, a week or
And
2 weeks or whatever. If you processing shit for months and months and months after, that's not okay. But if you allow yourself that time to just
absolutely.
feel into your pain and then go, okay, that's it, I'm done, I've mourned, I've moved on. Now how can I rebuild myself?
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, like I've meet, it's even people that are older as well. They're still living in their heartache from something that's like 10 years old. And I'm like, my heart just goes out to them. It's like, I couldn't imagine living in heartache for that long. And I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live their lives in regards to, their own personal journey with it. But there comes a point in time where you're just hurting yourself. And I just
Yeah.
go, what, like, you, by now, like, they're going, I was in love with this guy and I thought this was going to happen and that was going to happen and this was going to happen, and all this, like, image of how things could have been in their life at this age, stage, whatever. Meanwhile, they're sitting there going, like, I've spent the last 5 years of my life mourning something that wasn't. And I was like, in the last 5 years, you could have met somebody friggin' amazing. You could have traveled the world. You could have 5 kids by now.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just going, like, let it go. And it's easy to say because I guess I've been really working with this stuff for quite a long time. But when it comes down to it, it gets to that point where you go, I need to make a choice for me now. I need to make a choice to be happy and to be happy within myself, because the more that you let them control this, like whatever's happened, the more you're a victim. They're feeding off the energy, if you want to look at it from a bigger perspective and whatever. But the thing is, you have to make a choice. And that choice, you can make that choice right now. So it's like, if anyone's watching this right now, just make a choice that tomorrow morning when you wake up, you're making the choice to be happy and find something that you love about yourself, because that could be the thing that's just going to help you to realize that there's however many billion people in the world, and I'm sure you can find one.
Yeah, exactly. Focus on doing those things that spark joy in you. Excuse me. You know, and getting yourself back to that space of wholeness.
Mm.
So important. Not anymore. Fuck it. What we got going on here? Bloody oath. Fuck it, I'm out was my mantra. Yeah. Not anymore. Fuck it, I'm out. Nice one, Sky. Funny. Cool. So what do you think is the number one key to truly healing from any relationship?
I think I just answered that one. So it's making the choice. Like, it's never, it's the same as when, this is going to sound really weird, but it's like the same as when you get pregnant and it's, or get into a relationship initially. It's like, there's never a right time to do it. There's never a point in time that everything's perfect. You're never completely and totally ready for it. But you've just got to make the choice to go, okay, well, this is what's happening right now. I can't change this. I can't get anything from them. There's a few people that I've spoken with that are like, oh, but I need to get something from them. I need to just know why they broke up with me. And it's like, it's irrelevant. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about them. And you've got to just let go of everything. Go, okay, cool. For whatever reason they've broken up with me or decided that they don't want me to be a part of their life anymore, or I've made that choice about them. You've got to just make the decision to be like, I need to move on now. And it starts with making that decision. There's like, you can easily, well, it's not easy, but you could easily live like 30, 40 years of your life in heartache, but it doesn't serve you. So
Not
it's
at
like
all.
just making that choice.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And what's your favorite healing modality?
Ooh, so I have a few that I utilize. The main one at the moment, I actually go and see somebody who does holographic kinetics, yes, which is like an indigenous-based healing modality, which clears everything on all time, space, dimension, and then it goes
Wow.
from, like, you can do ancestral clearing and all that sort of stuff. Me personally, the healing that I do is shamanic based, so I go into people's internal landscape and see what's happening in that space and then clear it out so that then they can move forward to having a life that's more aligned with what it is that they want, and just really working on what is possible in the world. So yeah, that's the main ones that I'm
Yeah.
really into at the moment.
Yeah, awesome. Have you done much breath work?
I have, yeah, the shamanic stuff, it has got a little bit of breath work, like,
Have you heard of
associated in with it.
the O2 awakening?
No, I haven't. I'm going to look that up though.
Oh
O2.
my God. I did the last weekend, last Sunday, I went and did the workshop. It was a 4-hour workshop with a 1-hour breathing stint in it.
Nice.
Or breathing thing in it. And holy fuck. It is like, they're coming back in August. Highly recommend to anyone who's watching to go and do it. It was the most profound experience of healing I've ever experienced, and all through breath.
That's awesome.
So it was like,
Yeah, it's
so it was all
amazing.
breathing, like circular breathing through, like mouth in, mouth out, and just breathing into the chest, not into the like into heart space. Holy fuck! I have not cried and released like that. I haven't done a live on it yet because I haven't felt ready. Like, I've really needed to ground myself and really take my time to process.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a live on it this week, but it was fucking incredible.
Yeah,
Absolutely
awesome.
incredible.
See, I think the thing is as well, like, you know, we look out to all these things as being like of major importance, but it's like if you're bringing it back to just the simplicity of it, it's like the power of your breath is so amazing just to get things circulating around your body. And I think that, you know, the simple things that we forget, like walking outside barefoot and connecting into nature and just connecting into our hearts. And, you know, there's so much things that you can do that are so simple, but yeah, breath is so friggin' powerful. Like, I'm really glad to hear that you've had that experience. It sounds amazing.
It was incredible. I highly recommend. Yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
I'm going to look at it. I'm going to check it out now.
Yeah, do. And it was like, because it was like, yeah, it's quite full on. Like, you're in a room, and when you're doing it, because you're breathing in and out of your mouth, so you're kind of going, and you sound full on. And then, like, make sure you
primitive.
you do your toning. Yeah, your toning and stuff.
Yeah.
And then next thing, like, you're just hearing noises of all these people around you who are like releasing and laughing and crying and just toning, and like, it's full on. But fuck me, it's like taking drugs. I felt like I was on some kind of drug, just released. Amazing, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, nice.
It was so good. I can't wait to go back.
Sounds very primitive as well. Sounds like you've like released from deep within you. It's awesome.
Deep, and it was like, because I was on my back, and I was literally, when I was in that deep pain, I'd literally got to that position because I was just curling so much in my stomach. Like, so I hold all my emotion in my stomach, and I was just like in that crippled thing where I had to like roll onto my side because I couldn't stay in that position. Like, it was it was amazing. But afterwards, and when it finally released, I just started laughing. I was like, oh, because what came to me was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, you're kidding. Is that it? Like, it was just, incredible. Hello, little person. I see your head. Hi, sweetie pie.
Who's that? It's Nicole. Can you go lay back down? Nearly done, sweetie. Okay, quick, a little bit longer. Yeah.
Cute. All right, so one more question. So what do you think, like, you know, what can happen if we don't actually really allow ourselves to heal past relationships? Like, aside from like carrying it all through, how can it really impact our lives?
I think that, I mean, beyond the fact of the relationships of impacting on every area of our lives, there's also the factor of if we're not in a good place within ourselves, like, everything turns to shit. And I think that, wait a second. Can you ask the question again, just so that I can... Just
Yeah.
get it in.
So what can happen if we don't allow ourselves time to heal after each relationship? Like, how can that impact our life?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides the obvious of all of that, what I just said, there's also the factor that you tend to gravitate and bring in the same relationships as what you've already experienced. And then you start to think that all men are assholes, all men are the same, all men are this, that, or women, if there's any men watching this, that, like, you know, relationships are not going to ever be a part of your life. You don't deserve to have love in your life. And you start to tell yourself what it actually means. But the only thing that it actually does mean is that you need to let go, and you need to find a way that's going to be able to help you to heal from it. Because, you know, it's quite easy, well, like I said before, not easy, but it's quite easy to be in Groundhog Day when it comes to a breakup or heartache. But you've got to make the choice. And you know, it does have an impact on every area of your life. So for my kids, for example, whenever I've been not honoring my feelings or not acknowledging how I'm actually feeling, they like disrespect me, and they'll show me exactly what it is that I'm doing to myself. So everything around you will falter into that way, and it becomes this big shitstorm basically. And it's like, you know, you could have it that everything's fine at work, and then, you know, as an example, and then all of a sudden your boss is like questioning whether or not they want you there. And so it's not just about the intimacy. It's not just about that based relationship. It actually affects every single aspect of your life, and your family view you differently. Your friends think, you know, it's too hard to be around that person right now. It just gives you this vibration and this frequency of like, fuck everyone. And so then everyone's like, well, you know, don't want to be around that energy. So yeah, I think that we underestimate how much impact it actually does have until we can look at it from the outside and then just go, oh shit, now I can see why that was happening. I can see why that was happening. I can see why I was accepting that. And yeah, but it's just
yeah,
so much to
definitely.
it.
So what are the top 3 signs to look out for that show that you haven't healed, or you have healed and that you're ready to move on? Have healed and ready to move on.
Okay. I would say the first thing, so it's interesting. The first thing would probably be you feeling whole and you don't feel like you need a relationship. You're not, and this is the thing. I've noticed for myself previous years, like many years ago, I would walk into a room and I would scan every single person that was there, and I'd be like, that one has a wedding ring, that one's got this, that one's with a girl. Okay, and that one's too old, this one's, you know, too young, I'm not attracted to him. And I'd scan the whole room to see what would fit into those things of like potential people to talk to type thing. So I think that that's a really big sign that you're not ready to get into a relationship.
Yes.
So I think that when you're in a space where you're not actually scanning the room, where you're not actually trying to think about that consciously, where you feeling whole within yourself, and you walk into a room and people notice you not because of the fact that you're trying to get attention, but just because of who it is and how you are, rather than you trying to find
and the energy you're bringing.
So that's the first thing. Yes. The second thing is that laughter comes back into your life. Like, laughter becomes so much more prevalent in your life, and you find so much more to laugh about and be happy about, and there's just that joy that's coming back in. And also within that, doing more things that make you feel happy and more things that make you feel whole. So that's probably the top 2 things that I can think of. And the third thing, you find somebody and they don't scare you. I'd say having that, you meet somebody and it's like, I would be open to exploring where this goes and not projecting any of your past onto that. So it's like, I think that, you know, even when we do meet somebody, there's going to be that thing of like, oh shit, what if this turns out to be something, or what if it doesn't? But I think it's when you're just going, do you know what? I'm cool. Like, if this turns out to be something, I'm good. And if it doesn't, I'm good. But I'm prepared and I'm open to exploring what this could be. So I'd say that's my 3.
Yeah. Beautiful. I definitely know when I met Gary that, because we matched on Tinder, because I'd basically done all this work on myself, and I'm like, right, I'm totally happy being single. I'm having so much fun, but I really want to have sex. Like, I'm really looking to have just some no strings attached fun. So I jumped on Tinder to hook up, and one weekend it was the Cairns Ironman, so he'd flown up to do the Ironman, and we actually matched on Tinder. And then he said, "I'll shoot me a message," because I was going down to the start line. He said, "Shoot me a message and I'll come meet you." And I almost didn't message him, but I decided to go ahead. And he said, "Cool, we'll come up." And I was like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." And I literally remember standing there and looking up and just seeing this guy walking towards me. I knew it was him straight away, and it was just a soul knowing. And I just remember going, "Oh fuck, okay, let's go." And that was it. And that was, 3 months later, I moved to Brisbane. 2 months later, we've got kids on the way. So it was just like, there's that real. And people say when you meet them, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?" And it's not something you can actually mentally tell someone. It's not something that happens in here at all. It's all in here, 100%. And it's a beautiful feeling.
It's awesome.
All right, so I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you to finish up, just because I know your little ones are there. So what's the last book that you read?
Oh, this is actually really funny. You like the spotlight, don't you? So the last book that I actually read was Vagina, but ironically, I only read half of it because my ex ripped it in half.
Vagina or Vagenda?
Vagina.
Vagina. Ah, cool. What was it? Just about vaginas?
So it was just about the anatomy and how I guess it's how pleasure can affect our lives. And baby girl, can you just give me a minute, please? And so it's like just saying and it's actually quite relevant to what we're saying, really. So it's they did experiments with rats, and they were working out that the rats that were stimulated in a way to produce that result. Got the little one in the background. You're a monkey. Can you stop, please? Were more happy, and they were more productive, and they got more stuff done in their little house things, whereas the ones that hadn't been were not as productive. So there's an association with and I think this is going deeper into a lot of the work that I do as well, is that there's so much energy that's stored in the womb and so much power. And when you're able to be in that space of being intimate and then moving forward to being intimate with an intention, we're actually able to create a lot of stuff that's really, really amazing. But the main thing is that when you're stimulated and when you have that flow in your life, everything else makes sense. And so it means that you're more productive and more on purpose.
Yeah, wow, cool. I'm going to have to look into that. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite quote or mantra that you can leave us with?
So the one that just came to me, it doesn't seem very relevant right now, but it's today's mighty oak tree is just yesterday's nut that held its ground.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. Love it. Awesome. I think that's relevant. Holding your ground, staying true to you, being who you are. Beautiful. All right, my love. Thank you so much for jumping on. I'll let you go.
You're so welcome.
Back to your little one. Thanks for coming and saying hi.
She says thanks for coming and saying hello. You going to wave and say goodbye? You say goodbye?
Thanks so much, Kiarna.
Right, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your night. No worries.
Yeah, you too. Right,
bye.
Bye.